Welcome back everybody. Today we'll be talking about hives and when you should switch, and tips and tricks to save you honey when you do decide to switch. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let's get started. So first guys, I'll be talking about when you should switch your hive. So you should switch hives when you completed all quests in the game, and this is about the 40 bees to 45 bees range, and you want to complete all the quests because mixed hives are the best for completing quests. If you switch colors too early, it's going to be very hard to complete all your quests, so get those done first before you consider switching colors. Now that we have that out of the way, we can go over tips and tricks to save you honey. So of course, this process of changing hives is super expensive, especially if you want all these mythic bees, tadpole, spicy, or vectors, depending on which color you chose. It's going to cost a lot of honey. So you want to save as much as you can, but before that, you want to roll for the Supreme Star amulets. This is because they are super expensive, and they can cost a lot more depending on how lucky you are, and they can really decide which color you get. So the main two passives you want to get are Gummy Pop, Scorching Saw, and Gummy Saw. So Gummy Pop is for blue, Scorching Saw is for red, and Gummy Saw is for white. And you want to roll for these first because although each star amulet costs 10 billion to summon, you only get a 1 in 50 chance of getting a double, let alone the 2 pairs of doubles that you want for each color. So this is very hard to get, and let's say you've already decided to switch to a blue hive, and then you've already started rolling for tadpole bees using trillions of honey, and then you start rolling for some Supreme Star amulets, and then you get a Scorching Saw. Then you just wasted all those trillions of honey that you've worked for, and you gotta switch to Scorching Saw. Or you should, at least, if you don't have a better star amulet. So definitely go for the star amulets because these are super expensive. And not only do you want the passives, you want better stats. So overall, the best stats are obviously the color pollen of that hive. So for me, I'm a blue hive. You want that blue pollen buff. On top of that, you also want some instant conversion. You want some critical chance. And you also want pollen from bees. If you do have some other stats that are not too great, it's fine. But as long as you don't have red pollen on a blue amulet, you're good. So those are the amulets, and you want to roll for those. Again, you want to go roll for those first because they can get super expensive. But once you got that amulet down, then you can start rolling for your hive. So I'm assuming most of you just have one of each bee if you're a mixed hive, and you want to start by just keeping all the colors or all the bees of that color that you chose. Welcome back everybody. Today we'll be talking about hives and when you should switch, and tips and tricks to save you honey when you do decide to switch. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let's get started. Welcome back everybody. Today we'll be talking about hives and when you should switch, and tips and tricks to save you honey when you do decide to switch. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let's get started. So if you kept white, well, of course basic bee, you want to always keep basic bee in every single hive because of the gifted buff. But apart from basic bee, if you're a white hive, just try to keep all these white bees for now, and then you can start eliminating them and testing around with it. And I'm not too good with white hives, but for blue hives, personally, Bucko Bee I didn't keep. That is more optional because Bucko Bee pollen, it's only 10%, but it's still a blue pollen buff, which isn't bad. So that's more personal preference, and I didn't like it because I just wanted a lot more tadpole bees. Bumblebees you want 3 to 5 of, and etc. So again, Frosty Bee and Cool Bee I didn't keep because I didn't like their buffs, and Bumblebee. So just play around with it, but try to keep the very important ones like Bumblebee and Fire Bee. They are very important in the blue and white hives, and other bees aren't as important, but yes, Carpenter Bees and whatever. So keep all those super rare bees that have good buffs and are overall really good, and those can include a lot of the mythics, Carpenter Bee, Music Bee, and just Baby Bee. Other than that, most of the bees depend on what color you chose, and it can vary from one person to another because each person should have different buffs and stats. Your stats should not be exactly equal as mine, or that'd be kind of creepy, to be honest. But yeah, each person has different stats, so depending on your stats, there are different hives that are built for your stats. And this is important because amulets are next. So I already talked about the Supreme Star amulet, but to get good at the game, you also need to have good other amulets. So make sure you do some research on that, and you want to have a lot of Supreme Star amulets or the best rarity. And for stick bug, my stick bug amulet is very bad because that was from my red hive, so I should switch that, and that can really hinder my honey boosting. So you definitely want to work on those amulets to save you honey. One last thing to save you honey is do not buy tickets. So if you come up here, you may be tempted to buy tickets, and I have done this before, but they get super expensive, and mine isn't that expensive yet. Mine is only at 214 billion, and my friend down here, oh, he left, but my friend was here, and he had to buy 500 tickets for 500 billion honey. 1 billion honey for one ticket. It got very expensive, so I do not recommend buying any tickets at all, because as you play the game, you'll collect a lot more tickets as you just casually grind, and it is not worth it at all to buy it for the honey. Sorry if you hear some jingling, that's my guinea pig just dashing around. But anyways, again, do not waste your honey on the tickets. If anything, you want to work on these treats. So before, the max you wanted to keep them at was at 15, unless you want to work on the snow bear or on the ant challenge, but now they cap at 20, so any level underneath 20, which I assume most of you have, most of you probably don't have level 20 bees unless you're like Elo's level. But anyways, you want to have higher level bees, because although they don't seem to do much, as you level up your whole entire hive, it gives giant buffs to your overall honey making. So definitely work on upgrading your hive with your bees and treats. And the last thing I want to talk about is moving your hive to make it look better. So don't worry about that when you start off, and this may seem not very important to most of you, but I know some of you may like to see your bees organized in your hive, and do not worry about that, because although there are small differences such as a conversion rate that depend on the spots, they aren't important, and they are not worth wasting your honey to roll for all these different bees, especially if you're changing the mythic ones. So of course, do not roll for that. And even then, if your RNG is terrible and luck seems to not be on your side, you'll waste a lot of honey trying to convert colors. So before switching colors, I'd say think it over thoroughly. Make sure you are content with the amulet you have, or else you may be wasting tons of honey when you start switching your colors. Now, for my own personal story, I was super lucky to get the current Supreme Star amulet I have now. If you look at it, white pollen, which isn't terrible in a white hive, not a white hive, it isn't terrible in a blue hive, but it's not the best. Bee ability rate, which is crucial. Blue pollen, which is crucial. Convert rate, which isn't the greatest, and then instant conversion. So the stats are like a 4 out of 5, and I also have gummies popped. So this is a really good amulet for a blue hive, and I am happy that I have this, because if you guys do remember, my last star amulet was basically perfect except for the red pollen, which really degraded this star amulet. And then I started rolling, and apparently I didn't get any scorching saws or gummy saws, and then I got another gummy pop. So I am very thankful, because if I did get a really good scorching saw or a really good gummy pop, or not gummy pop, sorry, if I got a really good gummy saw or a really good scorching saw, I would have probably had to switch colors again, which would have been an awful mistake to make, because I just switched, and look at all these bees. It took so long to make gifted and to get all these mythics, so I would have wasted a lot of honey there. But I am very happy to have the luck to get another gummy pop that is better. But most of the time you won't be having this luck. You may have another different colored hives good amulet, so you want to make sure you do your research and make sure you like the color you get and roll for those Supreme Star amulets, because that is important. So that's basically it for this video, and again, consider your hive color and your Supreme Star amulets a lot, and that will save you a ton of honey when it comes to switching hives. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope this is helpful. See you guys next time.